I am Robo, your guide in the realm of Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Today we're going to take a look at Hasbro's Dungeons & Dragons Cartoon Classics Wave 1? At least I hope it's Wave 1. There's a crew to finish, there's more figures to be made, and a Tiamat in some form or fashion. I was waiting patiently for my pre-orders to come in, but I went to Target today, and wow, they did a lot of restocking. With everything that's available in this series on the shelf right there in front of me, I had to do it. I was just like, okay, cancel pre-order. And I even go into these knowing that people have had some issues with them. Plus, in my own action figure experience, I can look at these and go, well, the single jointed elbows aren't gonna get quite the range that a double elbow, especially with the space they've given in the joint. I'm totally prepared for some of that, but I have to give it a test drive on my own because this cartoon, I've been waiting for plastic representations of these characters for 40 years. So I couldn't just go, oh, well, okay. I have to give it a shot. I have to. Let's start things off with Hank. Right, he was always the big guy on campus, you know. Not even secured. I'm guessing it was supposed to be like that, but it wasn't. And look, it's Hank, the Ranger. Now, first impression, it looks like Hank. It has all the beats. Flowing blonde hair, studded pea green tunic over a darker green shirt, big old belt buckle, the darker green poking out at the leggings again until you get down to the cuffed boots. And then, is that the same green? No, I think that's another shade. And then the brown boots. I mean, if I threw just this at you at a Comic-Con, you'd go, oh man, that's Hank from Dungeons & Dragons. But it's not 100% accurate depiction of the cartoon. It's damn close. It has all the major design elements, but it seems to be stylized somehow. Or maybe this is based on some versions of the animation of the show, because you remember 80s cartoons. It's get it done, get it out there. We gotta sell breakfast cereals and toys and fast food, and yeah. The silver studs are painted nicely for the most part all over, and on the back, woo! Which makes it kind of a shame that there's some bleed from the green cuffs down onto the brown boots, and it's really noticeable all the way around. I'm used to saying, oh, I wish there was shading here in the wrinkles of the cuffs or down around the buckle or something. My action figure brain's going, oh, it needs a wash here. Or here, oh, right here. Or especially right here. But based on an animated series, so I don't know. I kind of like that it's very, very clean. Good application to the eyes and eyebrows too. And this is a rubbery overlay. It does get out of the way of arm movement. It looks wonky because it goes brrr, but it's not as cumbersome as it looks. But my waist is kind of loose. It's not, well, okay, if I do this, it's floppy. It's not falling out of position when I pose it, which is crazy because the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, the knees especially, and then the boot swivels up here, they were all super tight, but now that they're broken loose, I got some flow to them. But while we're talking about articulation, there is you can't hardly see up into the head. Oh, no, I better not do that. I'm thinking it's a dumbbell at the top of the neck, but it works like a ball because of the hair and the lack of space in there. Most of your movement is going to be at the ball at the bottom of the neck, which gets you all the way around here. Pin coming out to the shoulder, rotates up and around. You can kind of, there you go. Hinge goes out to there. Hinge and swivel at the elbow, 90 degrees. This is gonna be a problem here in a minute. Swivel in and out, swivel at the wrist, and then hinged up and down. Same on the left for the weapon wielding hand, but the cuff comes down so tight around the hand, you don't get a lot of movement there. Ball at the waist, there's some crunch, some arc, some tilt, some rotation. Ball coming out to the hip, and I forgot to point out that this is also nice and soft, gets out of the way of this, and whoa, that. No swivel at the hip. I haven't seen that in a long time from a Hasbro figure. Double knee comes up to there. Swivel at the boot cuff. Hinge at the ankle goes way back, forward. Front-facing pin for rocker. For accessories, there is this 8-sided die. I really like the swirliness of the reds and the blacks. There is Hank's bow, which this is one of my favorite things about Hank. As a kid, you could just pick up a stick and be Hank. You're suddenly in Dungeons and Dragons. But this has a nice sculpt to it, fits into the hand, not bad at all. And then for action scenes, here's the electric bow, or magic, I guess. Same bow sculpt, just in translucent plastic. And this would look great if you could get the other arm up to drawing position. That shoulder only goes to there, that elbow only goes to there, that hand It doesn't have side to side. I know I don't say that a lot, but for a drawing hand or the weapon holding hand, it goes side to side. And it doesn't help that there's bagginess to the elbow, so that's even more plastic in the way. I'm trying to get to an at ease pose, even just drawing back ready to aim, and but I like this, just neutral stance, ready to go. Next up, since she released a little early with Hank a couple of weeks ago, let's take a look at Diana. And I'm probably going to say this about all the figures, but the style is the same with Diana. It is unmistakably Dungeons & Dragons Diana. It just doesn't match up with the animation style. Well, okay, if the hair had been like that, it would have killed any head movement. So I can see wanting to change that up a bit. It's not just that. It's the skin tone. Everything's just been changed slightly. I feel like once I have the whole crew together, this is going to be a good looking display when I'm not comparing it directly to the cartoon. There's the gold necklace type thing with the copperish design work. Same thing on the belt, that Masters of the Universe belt with the jewels on it. Could be a Masters loincloth too. They love their fur because it comes down to the top of the boots too. And then it has the red wraps coming down and around and over and under. Gold bands around the biceps, and the rest is just skin tone. The paint app's very nice in the eyes and the eyebrows, a little lip color. And is that a different color brought in for the headband? That orangey metallic? And a red jewel, along with the flowing hair. Oh, and the headband's peeking out back there. I have a little bitty chip off right there, but again, something's telling me, oh, there's some detail work. It needs to have some wash in it. But again, cartoon-based property. I'm okay with this. What bugs me more is this sheen right here. Fur is very shiny, whereas this is dull and this is dull. And I know that's from different materials. That's a harder plastic up here. This is rubbery. This is, well, I don't know. Yeah, that may be softer. So my first thought was hit that with some matte spray, but I don't want to kill the sheen on the metallic parts. Maybe some brush on just to hit that one part. Skin tones seem to match up nice though. Except on the knees. It's really noticeable in the bright lights. My first thought was, it's the shine again. It's a different material, and it is shinier than the rest of the leg, but I don't think that's affecting the color. Yeah, it may be a darker plastic. Going over articulation, there is a, well, okay, there's a ball at the top of the neck with a hinge. Can look up a bit. Oh, way down. Some tilt, side to side. Pin coming out to the arm rotates all the way around. Hinges up to about right there. Swivel at the elbow. Hinges about right there. Swivel at the wrist with an in and out hinge. Dumbbell joint mid-torso. Gets a little crunch, a little back, little side, some rotation. The loincloth is a rubbery piece, but attached in the back. It just flips forward, and when it does, it goes up the torso a bit. Ball at the hip, comes to there. Back, out, not terrible. Double knee comes up to about right there. Swivel at the boot. Hinge at the ankle goes back, forward. Front-facing pin for rocker. For accessories, Diana comes with a 20-sided die, again with that swirly twirly red and black. She's the acrobat, so she comes with her energy staff. It's essentially a stick in neon green. But, again, for more action-y poses, there's this with some sense of motion to it. And this actually has some paint to it, where it's sprayed here to lighten it up at the end of the swoosh. To change speeds up a little bit, I'm going to open up this box set of Dungeon Master and Venger. Took me a minute to realize why they put two of these peg hanger tabs on here. This has some weight to it. Oh, that's half the weight right there. That is some heavy cardstock for a backdrop. It's like the ending credits. You come across, dun, 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 dun. Oh, 30% more glare. Boop, 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 boop. That is nifty. Once this display goes on a shelf somewhere, this is definitely going in the background. Be sure to pull the hands out of the main bag that Venger came in. And now that I have them out of the package, it's essentially a 2-pack of traffic cones. Well, for Venger, it's from the waist down for obvious reasons. For Dungeon Master, he's actually sculpted that way. But at the same time, because of the size of this and everything, I can understand why they went this route. And here, the likeness is not bad. I mean, yeah, it's not exact, but I guess a small, white-haired, balding guy is closer to capture? Or they just decided to stick closer? You know what? Now that I have 3 figures out of the package, 4 technically. I haven't looked at the 4th yet, but it's almost a modernization of the design. The costumes are all there. It's just they changed shapes a little. Like if they were remaking this cartoon from the 80s into a cartoon from the 2010s, somewhere in there. When they first showed these, I speculated that they've had these sculpts at Hasbro for a while now and just now making them into plastic form, which makes sense for some of the joint designs, But then, I haven't mentioned this yet, they are pinless. But here's Dungeon Master with the amulet coming down. The robes are a separate piece over the base body, or the base bowling pin, whatever. Got the collar with the gold trim, the studs going all the way around. I assume they're, oh, yep, they're down there. Didn't have to paint that one, but they did. Sleeve coming down with some bagginess, some hangy down at the bottom, a gold bracer. And then there's hands below that. Hasbro. We're going to have to talk about these thin-ass pegs for the wrists and other joints in this series. Put some heat to this one so I can now rotate it. Out of the package, it was like this and this. I got to get them moving. I worry more about the hinge. And when I'm worried about stuff, instead of just cranking on it, you know there's an issue. But other than that, what is... Oh, I think that's just a swivel at the neck. So you can have them look side to side. Look at those green eyes peering out from the face. That's cool. And now I realize I've went over articulation and everything with them. How about some Venger? These wings were separate in the package, but there's a big old peg that plugs into the back. And once I started it, I realized, oh, I'm not pulling this back out. So some assembly required. Nice sculpt to them though. They look very demonic, very bad guy. But there's not a lot of flex to it. Got the robes coming down from under the collar piece. This is all rubbery. Well, that's one piece. This is another piece. Here's another piece. And then the abs going down into the long robes is another piece. It's an overlay that's glued in at the ab crunch, or well, the ab joint. And like this, oh yeah, he looks menacing standing on the shelf, but that's most of what he's gonna do. There's a split out there. There's some softness, so it allows for the arms to come forward. At the legs, it's split, and it's probably meant to do that, but it's not split high enough and it's not flexible enough. So you get this, which does no good for the hips. And it's the first figure in the series with thigh swivels, so you can turn the leg, but you can do this maybe, but you can't do this or forward. The good thing is, he is not a problem to stand up. I don't even have the feet flat. He's standing. So maybe it was a conscious decision. But I'm thinking more it's the design, and they had to keep everything there. Peeking under there again, though, nice boot sculpt. I mean, there's no paint down here, but they actually put the sculpt in there. So maybe if you tore this off, or well, okay, how about cut it across here, added some cloth, it may be able to do more action. Because then he has the gauntlets here all sculpted, the hands, oh, that's a bad guy, right? That's a villain. Have that design work to the abs, and then these grooves coming down on the front piece, and then the head. The one thing that always threw me the most with Venger was the asymmetrical look. He only got one horn, and as a kid, I thought, that guy only has one horn. That's weird. But evil! That also highlights one of my biggest action figure pet peeves, and that's some side eye. He does have those little Nosferatu teeth sticking out, the pale blue skin tone, but he's constantly looking to the left. Now, I don't mind this if it's an extra head, if I have the option to be looking forward, but now Venger always has to do this or this. Well, not even that. You got to go further. There you go. Going over articulation, there seems to be a dumbbell in there. I can shift it forward and back a little and a little side to side, but there's not a whole lot of actual up and down or tilt. It's mostly just side to side. That's what you're going to get. Pin coming out to the shoulder raises up, and you could probably do it with some flexing and stuff. I don't want to. Hinge at the shoulder comes up. Hinge and swivel at the elbow comes up to 90. Rotates in and out. Swivel at the wrist. Hinge in and out. Dumbbell mid-torso does get some hula hoop action. There's a wings and everything else going. Also some rotation. There's a ball up at the hip, swivel at the thigh. Double knee comes up to about right there. It looks like it still has more room, but there's not enough cutout. Hinge at the ankle, and I'm afraid to crank that. I need to heat that one too. But I didn't because of this. You saw that. I didn't even straighten out that foot. There you go. Let's do this. I'm gonna put this foot up here and this one off to the side and everything. Kind of like it, but at the same time, Venger comes with this big 20-sided die, same design work and the swirls and everything. And then I guess Dungeon Master comes with this smaller, what is this? It goes by 10s. And then there's two alternate Venger hands with blast effects. And that's where I realized, whoa, if all the pegs in this line are like this, you get some stuckness, you're tearing that out. You're ripping that off. That is... Thankfully, I didn't have any problem with pulling out the hands. And there you go. There's the right blast. He can't look where he's blasting. Got to blast from the left. That kind of works. And then finally crack open Bobby and Uni. Oh, and Uni gets a smaller font, huh? Nobody puts Uni in a corner. I think this may be my favorite of the wave. It's the most... I know this is going to sound weird. The most action figure-y. Something I'm noticing right off the bat, the chest harness is a rubber overlay, and it's not going down to where it should. And I can't seem to get it to go down and stay down. It just comes right back up. So I'm going to attempt to hit it with some heat. Maybe reshape it, let it relax a little bit, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, hitting it with a little heat gun, water, hairdryer, whatever, it allowed the material to lay down flat on the torso, and then it came down to where the belt's supposed to be. It's not perfect. There's still a gap there, and when I flex it, it's gonna move away from it, but it looks better than it did out of the package. He just has that Bobby attitude. Look, it even has the helmet kind of cocked to the side. Again, it's not an exact representation, but this may be closer than the rest. Skin tone is definitely lighter, and then it's the shape of the eyes. I think that's what it is on every one of them, because otherwise all the design elements are there. They really like their studs in this series. There's coming down, crisscrossing on the chest harness, coming around the bracer, on the back. I always sound surprised when I see something painted on the back. A lot of times these days, that's skipped to save some money on the production side. And maybe that's a byproduct of not shading in here. Again, there's the fur and more fur, and this time the wraps aren't painted. Oh, and there's supposed to be a brown. There's two tones to the bracelets though. There's the silver, and then kind of a gray for the studs that matches up with this, and then the jewel on the front. And these feet are awesome. Again, it's a cartoon design. It's just little feet at the bottom of some thick boots. Bobby has his freckles and the blonde hair, and well, there's the same colors from down here with the silver and the grays, and then the horns nicely painted. It's just a good look. It's one of those older, oh hey, the smallest person in the group is the strongest. I love stuff like that. But then there's also Uni in this pack, and this is not an accessory. It's Uni. Me? Yeah, you. Maybe because it's an animal, there's no facial features. It's damn close. Went a bit more purple with the eye, but hey, it's still Uni. Oh, and the same color in the ear, but then there's the red hair, the red tail, the hooves are painted, and that's about it. That's Uni. Articulation-wise, there is a ball at the top of the neck with a hinge, but with the hair hanging down, goes up about this much, down, got some tilt on that ball, and then left and right. Pin coming out to the shoulder, rotates all the way around, and then a hinge goes up to here. Hinge and swivel at the elbow, comes up past 90. Why does Bobby get past 90? Swivels in and out. Hinge and swivel at the wrist, rotates, and then up and down on the club holding hand. All that work to get it down, let's raise it up and look at the ball at the waist. Pretty seamless, but because of that, there's only a little crunch, a little back, little tilt, mostly rotation. Ball coming out to the hip, but the fur loincloth is not soft. Maybe because of how short it is. There's a split there, but it ain't going anywhere. Just up to here. Back, out, okay. Double knee, best of the series. There's rotation at the top of the boot. Hinge at the ankle goes back, forward, and then front-facing pin for rocker. And then for Uni, there is a ball joint at the neck. So there is some tilt, some up, some down, and then some left and right. Accessories, here is a 12-sided die, I believe. And then, of course, Bobby is going to come with his Captain Caveman Club. Got flatness on the end. You can actually see the rings of the tree. And then the outside looks like wood, tapers down cone-like to the point. It's not the greatest grip because of that. Oh, well, okay, maybe, there you go. But he'll keep a hold of it in the display in an action pose. Well, son of a gun, he can get, well, it's close, but he can get it up on his shoulder a little. This is what I was looking for, though. The group shot. All of them together. And except you. Hey, Venger, eyes over here, buddy. Hank stands at 5 15/16. Diana is about 5 11/16. Dungeon Master's barely under 3. Bobby is around 4 3/4 to the top of the horns. Uni is about 3 inches. And then Venger is 8 1/4 to the top of his horn. Here's some of them with the Star Wars Black Series Stormtrooper version 1 and then the Hasbro comic book Marvel Legends. See, isn't that gonna look good? So at the end of the day, I love that I have these characters for my display, but they are not great action figures. They have action to them. They do have joints, but man, I said it once during the review. I've said it several times during the weekly. These look like they were designed 10 years ago, somewhere in there. Yeah, there's no peg holes, but that can be easily adapted to older figures, you know? We've seen it with Marvel Legends. Just the way the joints are designed in general, and then the tiny pegs, the heavy detents, They are not fun to play with. These are pick a pose, put them in the display. And in that aspect, I love them. I pointed out several times that these aren't 100% accurate to the animation, but they still represent these characters very well. Or maybe this has been on Robo's big old wish list for 40 years, and now that I actually have them, I'm settling for what I have. Maybe. But that's me. If you're on the fence here, you kind of want them, but you don't want to pay that $25 price tag, wait for some clearance, wait for some rollback, wait for some kind of discount or something. But if you enjoyed the review, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus. If you're interested in seeing videos early or in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. I think I'm definitely going to do some customizing here. I need to heat this up some more, get Bobby's harness down, and I want to increase, well, especially Hank. I need to find some way to improve the elbow movement. Then I'm strangely okay with the traffic coneness of Venger and Dungeon Master. Because, you know, hey, y'all just stand there, look cool. Y'all, get into action poses. And you just be uni.